Happy Friday, noon almost on the dot for us over here on the East Coast. But anyways, as I said, happy Friday. I wanted to thank you all for joining us for Better Than Buy-in, Strategies for Engaging Clients and Staff in Your Vision and Decreasing Burnout by Miss Molly Ola Pinney. Thank you so much, Molly, for doing this for us. And everybody, on this fine Friday, I don't know, it's really hot out over here. I'm in Connecticut. I'm on my back porch right now doing this webinar with you guys because my dogs are going crazy town today. But I wanted to let you guys know that you will have the chance over the next 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours to earn 2.5 CEUs. And the way that you're going to earn those CEUs is by staying with us this afternoon and also by answering the poll questions that are going to be popping up on your screen throughout. So make sure that you are logged in with the unique link that was joined to you. And the reason why that was emailed to you, I should say. And the reason why I say unique link is because if you were to forward that link to anybody else, it's going to mess up your registration. They'll be able to log in as you. It's going to do a whole bunch of weird stuff. So please do not forward the join webinar link, that button. That's only for you. Leave that for you and make sure that you are using that to join today's webinar. If you've dialed in audio only on the phone, please use that unique link on your computer. Even if you have those technical difficulties, you can't see, you can't hear, whatever's going on, just make sure you also are logged in there. So this way GoToWebinar can register your attendance and record that you are here. If you dial in audio only, then you're basically like a ghost and we have no idea. We can't give you any kind of certificates of completion or CE certificate if you need it. Do a little bit more detail about purchasing CEUs and all that good stuff when the first poll comes up. But other than that, I'm going to now turn it over to Molly.
Hello. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you, BDS. It is always a pleasure to be here with you all. Are you able to see my screen? You're able to see my desktop, aren't you? Are you able to see my screen now? Yes, no, yes. Somebody let me know. There we go.
Yes.
Anybody? Okay, perfect. Anybody out there? Excellent. Thank you. So really quickly, my intention for this time that we have together is that it's interactive beyond just the polls. I'm going to be asking you questions in the chat and, be here. This is a 2.5 hour webinar. So what we don't want to do is just have me talking to you the whole time. Share your feedback, ask your questions, and we're going to have a good time. I'm really looking forward to this. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you, BDS, for having me. And welcome, my friends, to Better Than Buy-in, Strategies for Engaging Clients and Staff in Your Vision and Decreasing Burnout. Okay. Revolutionary leaders cannot think without the people or for the people, but only with the people. Okay. We talk a lot here about doing with and not for at the Global Autism Project. So just really quick intro. And Marissa, I know you have a poll that will launch in just a moment, but really quick intro. My name is Molly. I am the founder and CEO of the Global Autism Project, and I have been doing this work internationally for 20 years. We have a very unique approach to collaboration and leadership development that has worked extraordinarily well over the years. And what I'm going to be doing in this webinar is sharing some of the things that we have done internationally and have over the last several years been implemented in companies here as well. I'm going to have a special invitation for those of you who are on the call to participate in some of our international programs. But we're going to talk about the crucial strategies that you need to cultivate ownership, okay? My friends, please go ahead and type in the chat, what is your role in your company? Or are you in private practice? Or, are you a freelance therapist? Go ahead and type in the chat and hit enter. I should be able to see it. Let's see what happens. We'll try it. So just go ahead and type in the chat. Are you a BCBA? Are you a supervisor? Are you a company owner? Are you an RBT? What has you on this call today? Marissa, are you able to see anything
You-
coming in?
Yeah, I was gonna say you may not be able to because you're a panelist, but we got a lot of behavior consultants, case managers, BCBAs, grad students, RBT.
Awesome. I love it. Perfect. And is there any way that we can make it so that I can see the chat, or should they use the question box to participate?
Everyone puts their submissions in the questions box,
Okay.
but I would have to switch a role, and that's something that we would have to do
That's
prior.
That's okay. So I'm fluent in Zoom, not GoToWebinars. That's my mistake. So go ahead and just type your answer again, please, in the question box, just so we can test that functionality. If you're a BCBA, if you're an RBT, if you're a company owner, who are you? What is your role? And then we have a quick poll, so I have a little bit more context about who everyone is. But type it in the question box so I can see if I can see questions, hopefully.
Yeah, that's exactly. You're not going to be able to see that because that's something we would have had to switch beforehand.
I can't see
Um,
questions either.
no, that's it's the same thing. We use the chat box to communicate me and you.
Uh,
But we've
got it.
got clinical supervisors, manager, manager, clinic or supervisor. Yay, good, awesome. Licensed social workers.
Awesome. Great. I'm so glad you're here. Okay. So now, Marissa, if you want to launch the poll, people who've heard of the Global Autism Project, that would be great.
Alrighty, everybody. Oh, so we're gonna skip a little out of order. Hang on one second. Just want to make sure I launched the right one. Have you heard of the Global Autism Project? Yes or no? And a blue box should have popped up on your screen, and you should be able to select an answer and submit it with the submit button. Please participate in these polls if you wish to earn your CEUs today. If you didn't purchase your CEUs as of yet, that's okay. You have all weekend to do so. You'll be able to access your CE certificates with the instructions that I send on Monday. But if you need a certificate of completion, which is free, you don't need to purchase anything, that's going to come a couple of hours after we end here. But alrighty, let's shut down this poll. And it looks like 40% say yes and 60% have not.
Okay, excellent. Well, it's good to have you and you're in the right place. And what about our Skill Core program? How many people have heard of this? This is another poll that you have.
Alrighty, everyone take some time to answer this one.
I just want to know how much context to provide for you all.
Awesome. Wow, you guys are running really quickly for this one. I'll shut it down in just a second. All right, sweet. All right, looks like 15% have and 85% have not. Oh, quick question. I would like to purchase CEUs. All right, go ahead and purchase your CEUs in the store whenever you want. As I said, you'll get certificates on Monday. So just purchase before then if you want like instant access when I send those instructions.
All right. Excellent. Well, so let me provide a little bit of context. And it's great to have so many of you who are not familiar with the program. It's always fun for me. So as I said, I'm the founder and CEO of the Global Autism Project. I started this organization 20 years ago. And what we have done as an organization is we've built capacity for services worldwide. That's a fancy way of saying that we've helped local professionals, parents, and even autistic self-advocates build up their presence in the community. So for over, the organization's been around for 20 years, for 12 years, well, starting 12 years ago and then pausing for COVID, 12 years ago, we started this program called Skill Core, where people travel with us internationally and to provide that training. So a lot of the work that we've done, we've talked about whether or not it passes the flyaway test. And what we've found is that when you go into a business for a short period of time to provide training, you need something a bit better than buy-in, right? You need to cultivate more than buy-in. It's just not enough. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to take those lessons from the field. We've had over 1,000 people travel with the organization at this point. We have a trip going out in October. We have a trip going out next March. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. In fact, with so many new faces, I may show a video that is not yet live. All right. So Marissa, I just sent you a message to see if we can adjust that at all. Okay. So Simon Sinek tells us people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. All right. Quick poll question. Who do you struggle to get buy-in from? Struggle to get
Oh,
buy-in from.
sorry about that. All right, everybody. I just launched that poll for everyone to answer. Also, I was in the midst of Molly. I should have been able to switch you over to organizer, I think.
Okay, great. Yeah, then I should be able to see stuff.
Yeah, you should. I think
And
you
I
might.
did. Yeah. Oh, I can see it. Good. Okay. I was like, uh-oh, I got to see my people. I got to know what's happening out there.
Perfect. Alrighty. And thanks everybody for voting so quickly. I'll shut this down in just a second. Sweet. Alrighty, looks like 32% say staff, 23% say parents or clients, 2% say family or friends, and 43% say all of the above.
All right, friends. We are today going to talk about how to completely shift the paradigm so that you no longer have to get have to get buy-in. So go ahead and let me know if any of these resonate with you. And you can type, I believe you can now type in the chat. I can definitely see questions. I think I can see the chat as well. Chat would be better if we can make it work, but let's see. Okay. So
Yeah,
you're in.
everyone has to put their feedback into the questions box. Molly, if we're going to communicate, we'll use the chat box, or if we want to communicate and put like links out to the audience, we could do that too through the chat.
Okay, thank you. So go ahead. Thanks, guys. So go ahead and use the question section. Here we go, and I can see what you've got to say now. Perfect. All right. So you're in the right place. If you're dealing with constant frustration, if you find yourself saying, if I want something done right, and you know the rest, if you're suffering from high turnover in your organization, if you have staff struggling with clicks and gossip, if you have staff who are just here getting a paycheck, if you have staff or parents, I would say not, or RBTs, not following instructions or processes when you're not present. If you're dealing with recurring issues that you keep trying to solve and things are not changing, go ahead and type in what of those things resonates with you. Every single one. Okay, good. Staff not following instructions, staff struggling with clicks and gossip, all of these, all the above, staff and parents in all caps, not following processes when you're present, when you're not present. Got it. My friends, you are in the right place. This is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so first of all, does anybody have any guess about what the published turnover rates are in the field? And someone says, NA, I'm here to expand my knowledge. Perfect. You're in the right place too. I love it. What are the current turnover rates? Go ahead and type in the question box. Somebody says too high. It's too high. Yeah, what else? A number, throw it out there. 50%, 60%, 80%, 50%. Not sure, but it's high. 65, 40, 75. Yeah. Yes and yes and yes. Published turnover rates range from 30 to 75%. What would you say is the overall cause of turnover? Go ahead and type it in the chat. What are some of your guesses? What are some things that you've heard? What are some things you've experienced? Why is the turnover rate so darn high? Yes, burnout, moving to another field, lack of training, not enough money, burnout, low pay. Research says it's lack of good supervision and support. You're exactly right. Challenging work conditions, right? And that idea of good supervision and support, that's exactly what we're going to be addressing, okay? So burnout is a big reason, right? And burnout has an actual real definition by the World Health Organization. It is a syndrome conceptualized as resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. It is characterized by 3 dimensions, okay? When someone says I'm burnt out, these are the 3 dimensions that we're looking for. Feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's jobs or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job, and reduced professional efficacy. Burnout refers specifically to phenomena in the occupational context. It is not applied to describe experiences of other areas of life, okay? So burnout is work related. Burnout has feelings of energy, depletion, or exhaustion, right? And I would submit to you that burnout in part results from you not being able to get buy-in, you feeling like you have to do it all your own. Of course, that's going to start to create some mental distance, some frustration, okay? Also, Maslow burnout inventory assisted and put a stop to the Stanford prison experiment, okay? So the ethical implications of burnout, dehumanization, de-individualization are exhibited by custodial staff or direct care staff experiencing burnout. So what this is to know, how many of you, go ahead and type yes in the chat if you care about client services? If you care about the quality of your client services, yes, 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 it's happening fast. Yes, in all caps, yes, exclamation point, yes, of course, right? Here's the thing to get. If you care about client services, you care about burnout, okay? Very important to understand. This is not a, oh, I'm not so worried about it, it's okay, right? And I just want to draw your attention to the ethics code here. Behavior analysts work to maximize benefits and do no harm by actively identifying and addressing potential negative impacts of their own physical and mental health on their professional activities. As leaders, according to our ethics code, behave with integrity. Behavior analysts fulfill responsibilities to their scientific and professional communities, to society in general, and to the communities they serve by actively working to create professional environments that uphold the core principles and standards of the code. So sometimes people will think that burnout and buy-in and ownership and all this stuff is not related to your professional responsibilities, and it is very much related, straight from the ethics code, okay? Somebody just asked, will a recording be available? Yes, recording's available. All right, 3 big types of burnout. Go ahead and type in the ones that resonate, that you're like, I've seen that or I've experienced that. Overload. You're working at an unsustainable pace. You're clocking long hours. You're not taking mental breaks, okay? Under-challenged. You're not challenged or stimulated. We don't see this as much in this field, frankly. And neglect, when you don't feel a sense of purpose and find it hard to stay engaged at your job. Most of the answers, I don't know if y'all can see it, but I can. Most of the answers that I'm seeing are overload, okay? It's very common. This is a field with a bunch of clients who, in a lot of ways, never sleep, right? Yeah, experience both overload and under challenge. That's a hard combination. Okay. Here's the controversial thing I'm going to say, because I've been in this field for 20 years and I've worked with owners of businesses and I've worked with teams. I've worked with, I don't know, probably like 10,000 clinicians over the years easily. Because part of what I didn't say is I've worked internationally. I've also worked stateside. I've done organizational and change management consulting here in this field. I currently run a coaching program for businesses here in this field in the US, as well as the work we do internationally. And what I have learned in all of that coaching and all of that work is this: burnout is not inevitable. We do not have to accept burnout as just part of the job. Just comes with it. You're going to be burnt out. Now, I get that if you go to a Facebook group, you're going to see burnout's part of the job. Burnout comes with the territory. Wish there was something we can do. Okay? Where are you guys at? You believe this? Think this person's full of malarkey, as my New England family would say, right? How do you feel? Do you agree or disagree? No right or wrong answers here. Do you agree or disagree that burnout is not inevitable? You agree that it is not inevitable. Okay, agree, agree, agree. Good. Disagree, got it. Yep. Agree that it's not inevitable. Maybe, I like it. Okay. Agree, agree, agree. Depends, not for everyone. Work-life balance, coping skills. Yes, I'm hopeful that it isn't. Hope you change my mind. Agree, depends. Yes, all right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how on earth you avoid burnout. So I want to take a moment and introduce you to Our partners around the world. These are people around the world working in very challenging conditions, working in places where the locally accepted belief may be that the kids are possessed, where their clients, when they're not in their center, in some cases, not all, are kept locked up in rooms and homes. I mean, they're working in really, really challenging conditions. And the people you see here represent India, Indonesia, China, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, I said Indonesia, Czech Republic, Ecuador, Dominican Republic, right? They're all over the world doing this work, okay? And these are the people who really taught me that burnout is not inevitable. These are the people who taught me that there's something better than buy-in, okay? It was at this event in 2019, what we thought was going to be our first annual event, that we started to get the question of how have you been able to get buy-in from all of these people? Because see, what's often missing where burnout is where buy-in is not present, right? And I would even take it a step further. Okay, we're going to talk about something again better than buy-in. That's the promise of today, right? But burnout exists when buy-in is not present. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. I already told you this because I jumped ahead, you know that stuff. All right. So if you have ever spent time in or around the Global Autism Project, you have probably seen this hashtag, do with, not for, okay? Do with, not for our global partners, do with, not for the autistic community, do with, not for families, do with, not for parents, okay? This shifts everything. So let's look at what even is buy-in, okay? Buy-in is the acceptance of and willingness to actively support and participate in something. To actively support and participate in something. So when you're trying to get buy-in from these families, you're essentially asking them to actively support and participate in something. What is something? Go ahead and type in something specific that you have tried to get parent buy-in around and it has just not worked. It just hasn't worked. Maybe it's mealtime. Okay. Consistent visit schedule, following support plans, VIP implementation, virtual parent coaching, data collection, toileting. Okay. Implementation, toileting. Yeah. Parent coaching. Yeah. And what have you tried to get buy-in from your staff, from your colleagues? What specific things have you tried to get buy-in? Okay. Trying to get buy-in can lead to burnout. That's that overload. You're trying to get people to take some things off your plate to help. TAs for parents, follow behavior plans, engage with individuals, schedule activities to engage in child-led learning. Yes, you're just trying to get their buy-in. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how exhausting is it to try to get buy-in? 1,000,000, got it. My friends, because trying to get buy-in leads to burnout. Okay, so we're going to take a minute. We're going to really look at why people stay and what increases buy-in, trust, and ultimately ownership. Okay, we often try to keep people in our businesses with training and mentorship. And somebody said, and it's such an interesting thing, you said the data tells us that it's poor supervision that leads to people, that leads to turnover. It's poor training, it's poor mentorship, it's poor supervision, right? That is like the lowest level, okay? The next level is we'll increase salary. Oh, we'll pay people more. We'll pay people more. This is where quote, big box ABA, right? I work with a lot of clinician owners and they'll say, well, big box ABA can pay more and I can't, so therefore I can't get, right? Promotion is the next thing, right? We We have these things present in our company because we want people to stay, because we don't want the turnover. And again, it's the buy-in. You can see here, okay, as we go up this pyramid, the buy-in is increasing. At the highest level is purpose, is meaning and value, okay? That's the highest level of buy-in. So let's talk about training and mentorship. This will work until you feel as though you're no longer growing. This will work until you lose interest in the topic. This will work until things get boring. Okay? This will not work forever. This is not enough. When all we're doing is providing that training and mentorship, it's not enough. If all I was doing was providing training and mentorship to that incredible group of humans that I just showed you a picture of, it would not be enough. Okay? Because it is not the training and mentorship that has a direct relationship to the degree at which someone's bought in. It's important, it's foundational, don't get me wrong. Money. My friends, I cannot tell you the number of people who have said, I don't even care how much money I make. I really just don't care. The job is not worth the effort. It's not worth my mental health. How many of you have been in a job where like no amount of money was worth what you were being asked to do? Type money in the chat if that's you. No amount of money was gonna, in the question section. Yeah, look at this. Money, 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 money. People think people don't stay because I'm not paying enough. And you all just said no amount of money was gonna be enough for what I was being asked to do. Okay? Status. Here's a new role. Here's a new position. This works until you're offered a higher ranking job elsewhere. You aren't interested in elevating your job title. You feel the job responsibilities aren't worth the job title. Go ahead and type status in the chat if this relates to you at some point in your career. You're like, it doesn't even matter what I'm called. I don't even care, right? It's a bunch of you. It's a lot of people. It's like, it doesn't even matter. It's not important to me. For what they want me to do, they could call me the damn CEO and I don't care. Some people say it does matter. Absolutely. For some people it does. Right? But the point is, it's not always enough. Because again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to increase the buy-in, the trust, the inspiration. Right? We see burnout when people don't feel inspired. Purpose is the level that we really want to get to. It's a level that we want to create from. It's a level that we want to build our company from. When we're doing with and not for, we're talking about co-creating the purpose, the direction, the vision of this organization. My friends, there was no amount of knowledge, money, or status to get those international partners bought in to what we were doing. Okay? It's much more than that. They shared a vision with us. Now, how is this relevant? Has anybody ever created a vision, worked with a family to create a vision of what they want with their kids? Go ahead and type in the word vision. If you've ever worked with a family to just really zoom out and be like, tell me your vision. Yeah, good. A couple of you, right? Yes, right. Vision, 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 vision. And when you co-create that vision, how's the compliance in terms of following the plan? Good, bad, better, good? Yeah. Imagine that. Okay? Because see, when you're co-creating that, when you're connecting people to a purpose, when you're connecting them to a higher purpose, see, we run this program called Skill Core that we just talked about, right? And people are part of it, not for the training and mentorship. They're going to get that. That's fine. But, you know, they can get training and mentorship elsewhere. They can get it without traveling. Certainly not for the money. They're raising money and volunteering. So it's certainly not what they are committed to. Yeah, some of them like to be called a Skill Core member. That's a cool sort of status thing. But what they're really interested in What they're really here for is the purpose. How many of you feel like you know your purpose in this field? It's not just a job. You have a purpose. Yeah, a bunch of you. Good. Yeah. The same can be true for the families. The same can be true for the staff. You can co-create purpose. You can co-create this vision. Okay. And this is the new trend, calling it servant leadership, right? We just call that good leadership. It's sort of like how assent-based teaching is the new trend. And I was just listening to a great presentation by a company called Octave, and they were saying, you know, we just called it ABA. We just said the learner's always right, and away we went. And that was assent-based learning, right? So things kind of get named and rebranded over the years. I feel a little bit old sometimes saying that, like, well, if you've been around as long as I have, right? This idea of servant leadership, it's just good leadership, right? It's a fancy way of saying do with, not for, frankly. All right, so here's the purpose equation. How do we get purpose? Contribution plus passion. Go ahead and type in the chat if you have in the last in the last 3 days felt real passion. And you're present to that passion. You're like, damn, I feel really passionate about what I do. I freaking love this. Go ahead and type the word passion if that's you. Good. And talk to me. What was that moment that had you feel that passion for what you do? Okay, someone said, I don't know about passion, but I felt proud. Yeah. Well, I'm going for passion. I want that, like, that special thing, right? What was that moment? Did the kid learn something? Interaction with the client, good. Helping a child and parent transition to school. Yeah, good. Gratitude to parents when family lets you know their appreciation. Yes, 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 right? And you've all contributed, right? You've got that. You've got that. What sometimes goes away is the passion. Go ahead and type in gone. If you just feel like where you're at in this field right now, kind of lost your passion for it based on just the bureaucracy and the paperwork and all that stuff. Yeah, go ahead and type in sometimes if comes and goes, right? And I'm not saying you should feel passionate 100,000% of the time, okay? But yeah, some of you are typing in gone, right? And there's an impact. Side note, go ahead and type in if you feel, what was I gonna say? If you feel that there are some things you would like to change, go ahead and type in change maker. If there are some things that you would like to change about this field in general, systemically, I just want to know who's here. Yes, change maker, change maker. Yes, 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 yes. And what there is to look at is what's kept you from doing that, if anything has. Here's the thing, guys. People want to feel like their job is meaningful. They want to feel like they're making a difference. They want to feel that connection to the mission. They want to be valued for the work they produce, okay? There's a sense of belonging. There's a sense of community. I'm just going to, if I can, let's see. Okay? Guys, this is a global community of people. Oh, there you go. This is a global community of people, literally from all over the world, coming together, uniting for this much higher purpose. It's not about them. It's not about their center. It's not about their country. It is about a much bigger picture. Okay? Guys, people want to feel value for the work they produce. They want that sense of belonging and community. Okay? This will lead to fulfillment and satisfaction. People believe something, this will change your life forever. This will change your consulting for the rest of your life. If you're ever talking to a parent, to a staff, etc. People believe things when it comes out of their own mouths. That's when they believe things. Who do they need to hear it from? Type in the chat. I know you're awake. Who do they need to hear it from? Themselves. So how on earth do you do that? Right? And sometimes I ask this question, I didn't realize the slide was coming up right now. Sometimes I'll ask the question, who do people need to hear it from to believe it? And before you saw this quote, yeah, they're mentors, right? Someone they trust. But at the end of the day, guys, people believe things when it comes out of their own mouth. And I don't know about you, but for me, that completely removes the instinct to even think about telling people what to do. We tell people what to do, they don't do it. We get frustrated that there's no buy-in present, right? And all we have to do is remember that people believe things when it comes out of their own mouths. So go ahead and type in the chat if you're starting to think of what we might say is better than buy-in. Just go ahead and just take a stab at it. What is better than buy-in? And how the heck do we accomplish it? So word, thinking for themselves, good. Purpose, we're connecting people to a purpose to increase their buy-in. Initiation, good, yep. Aha, ding, 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 ding. A couple of you have gotten it. Ownership, guys. You can bypass completely 100% wanting to get buy-in. Okay, guys? It's exhausting. It leads to burnout. It leads to turnover. Okay? And again, I said burnout is not inevitable. Burnout is not an issue when you can co-create the vision and the experience of your company. When people have purpose within your company, okay? And when ownership is present. So, you know, that group of people, everyone said to me, oh my gosh, how do you get buy-in? How do you get this buy-in? It wasn't about buy-in. It's their own organizations. It's their own vision. We've worked together. We've done with, not for, to support them in their vision and what they want to see come to life. And we're seeing a trend, right? We're starting to focus more on what parents want. We're starting to focus more on what the autistic community wants, right? But it's like, guys, really? It makes it easier. It makes it much easier when you focus on cultivating ownership. You get to skip over buy-in altogether. And when you're not trying to get buy-in, you're not dealing with burnout. See that? All right, someone says, I think collaboration with the entire unit, staff, families helps for buy-in. Yeah. But I want you to skip over buy-in. I don't want you to waste your time trying to get buy-in ever again. Now that we've had this talk, I don't want you to waste your time trying to get buy-in. I want you to skip over it and go straight to ownership. Okay? Yes, when everybody collaborates, there's ownership. Yeah. Go ahead and type in ownership if you feel like you work in a company where you have ownership of the company, the outcomes, etc. Awesome. And by the way, someone says, heck no. And go ahead and type no if you don't. Someone says, I do not. Not for profit. So I'm not talking ownership as in like you're a stockholder in the company. I'm talking ownership as in you as an employee have ownership over the outcomes. You're not just kind of bought in. You're not just like listening from the top down. Like you actually have ownership over what outcomes that company has. Someone says I'm in government, right? But do you have ownership over those outcomes? Have you co-created those outcomes that the company is driving towards? Have you co-created the vision? Okay. So how do we do it? We use this incredible Venn diagram that'll change your life forever. Their priorities, your priorities, and sustainability. Where those three interact is where we get ownership. Now, we used to show this to our Skill Corps members, and that orange triangle said the word Skill Corps, because this is what we do on trips. Their priorities, your priorities, and sustainability. Now, looking at that, I want you to think about something specifically and type it in the chat. What specifically have you struggled to get buy-in over? I think some of you typed in, it was parent compliance, but let's go back to that. Go ahead and type it in again. Change in general. Toileting, following support plans, consistent routines, parent compliance, parent buy-in. Yes, 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 guys. Now I want you to take a look at this Venn diagram, and I want you to ask yourself, where did that priority lie? Was it their priority? Was it your priority? Which one? Shifting toward a more compassionate ABA. Whose priority was that? Support worker clients. It was their priority. Okay. So you've struggled to get buy-in and it's their priority. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oftentimes, when we struggle to get buy-in, if we're being very, very honest, we are in the my priority box. Okay. So maybe think of that as saying their and that one saying my, right? Instead of your. It's a little confusing, but yeah. We're in the my priority box and we're going, why the heck can't I get buy-in? What is going on? And again, when we can't get buy-in, we get burnt out. So I'm like, hey, good news. You never have to get buy-in again. You can cultivate ownership, and here's how. Okay? Where these three interact is where ownership lives. You will find, again, people believe things when it comes out of their own mouth. So we have their priorities over here, your priorities over here, and sustainability. I have a little story for you. Has anybody ever gone into a household and tried to get the student to do something that was absolutely not a priority in the culture of that family? Go ahead and type in family. If you've ever tried to have a goal that's not a priority in the culture, that's aligned to the culture of that family. Yeah. So here's mine. I grew up as a bed maker, someone who makes my bed before I leave my bedroom. Okay. Someone who makes my bed before I leave my bedroom. My whole family is like this. My mom was a nurse. We learned hospital corners. We make our bed at hotel rooms. People will often, if I share a hotel room, they'll kind of, and I get up really early and they'll get up and be like, did you sleep in the bed last night? I'm like, well, yeah, and then I made it. So it is very ingrained in me to make my bed when I get up in the morning. So I was in a household working with a kid and it was morning routine. Well, the most important thing in the morning routine is to make your bed before you leave the room. That's easy. I know that, right? So I worked with this kid to teach him how to make his bed. I was okay. I didn't need the hospital corners, but it had to be like first the sheet, then the comforter, then the pillow, right? And oh my goodness, I could not for the life of me get this skill to stick. I couldn't get it to work. And I didn't understand why, because when I was there, it was so freaking fluent. This kid was so good. He was making the bed beautifully. He was like, wake up, make my bed, wake up, make my bed. If I wasn't there, I could show up at 2 in the afternoon and the bed wasn't made. Guys, where was that programming decision? Where did that live? in this Venn diagram? Based on what you know so far, where do you think that lived? Bed was not made if I was not there. This was a big old Molly priority. Now, I already told you, this is like cultural for me. Like, you get up and make your bed. You do not leave your bedroom until the bed is made. I don't care if you like are getting up to pee real quick. If you're up for the day, your bed is made in my house, right? So you're exactly right, guys. This was my priority. How did I know? I walked by the parents' bedroom one day, the door was open and the bed was unmade. This was not aligned with the culture of the family. It was freaking exhausting to try to get buy-in and try to program around all this. This was not a priority, guys, at all. Okay? And then that circle sustainability. Somebody just tell me in plain English, what does sustainability mean? It's a word that's used a lot, and then sometimes I ask what it means, and there's some people aren't really sure. So you tell me. What does sustainability mean? Able to be maintained over time, feasibility, maintenance, able to continue after implementation. Yes, guys, exactly. So here's the thing. My priority to make the bed, not at all the family's priority, not at all sustainable. It's pretty drastic thing to see, like, oh yeah, that didn't work for that. And I have so many examples. Somebody go ahead and type in an example of something. We're going to flip the script a little bit, where you did take into consideration the family, where you did take into consideration the learner, where you did take into consideration your expertise, where you did take into consideration sustainability. You knew it could be maintained. What was that? What was that thing? What were you teaching? Wasn't bed making, probably, right? What was that thing? Potty training. Yeah. Right? People generally, not always, but generally, right? And we see this happen around the world. We see this happen, you know, we may go in and say it's our priority for an 8-year-old to eat independently. Well, guess what, guys? That's not a priority with families in India. That's just not their priority. They have no problem feeding their kid with their hands. It's fine. It's culturally appropriate. So for us to come in and try to make that a priority, it doesn't work. So how did we get ownership instead of buy-in? Go ahead and type in the chat. How did that happen? What did we do with our partners over the last 20 years? We worked from where? We asked for whose input? Learn their priorities. There's beautiful, beautiful Lao Tzu quote. It's like, go to the people, live with them, learn from them, start with what they have, building with what they know. But with the best work, when the work is accomplished, the people with the best leaders, when the work is accomplished, the people will say, we have done this ourselves. Going for creating ownership, that quote sums it up beautifully. Thank goodness I learned that quote way back in 2004. It's so important. It's informed everything we've done. It's informed absolutely how we work. And still, listen, I years later went into a house and tried to teach a kid to make their bed. When I'm working internationally, I'm very mindful of things might be done differently here. It's very clear to me that I'm in a different place. But guys, here's the thing. Families are cultures. The culture of the family, sometimes it's from another country, right? But the culture of the family is just as important and for us to attend to as the culture when someone's from another country or we're in another country, right? So you'll notice we also don't work completely in their priorities. We're guided by their priorities, and I would argue that should be a larger circle, right? We don't work completely over there because frankly, like, we're being paid to come in and bring in our expertise. So that your priorities is fine, just that it doesn't overshadow or inform everything you're doing. And then maybe the biggest circle should be the sustainability circle. Okay, if you take no other notes, if you learn nothing from the Global Autism Project, if you only ever take this, and this informs your programming and your work for the rest of your life, it'll be worth the price of admission. Okay. Does anybody see? What are your ahas? What are you seeing here? What are you noticing about the work you've done in the past to what you're learning about right now? Anything shifting? Anything changing? Anyone starting to understand that buy-in, trying to get buy-in leads to burnout? All right, let's see. Lots of shifts. Yes, lots of S's. Good. Yeah, what's shifting? What are you seeing? What are you learning? What are you getting? Listen, I'm not one of those people who's just like, hey, you can just like hang out here and do your laundry and click things on, you know, and that you're going to get your CUs. No, 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 no. I want to fundamentally shift the way in which you see your work and your potential in this field. That's always my goal, right? Yes, good. Make sure we're doing their priorities, looking at client center differently. So connected. Yes, good, 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 good. All right. Ooh, got lots of stuff here. Make an effort to really get to know our families, our staff, their values, expectations, and priorities. Absolutely, right? And here's your little Venn diagram. And here's the thing, guys, when you take this and you actually show this, you bring this into parent meetings, you bring this into consultations, and you go, what are your priorities? What are my priorities? And what's gonna last? What's gonna be sustainable? It also allows families to see that. And if you're showing it to a family, I would definitely make their priorities circle bigger. Family priorities, BCBA priorities, right? Or whatever, clinician priorities, whatever. Doesn't just have to be BCBAs. Nothing I do is just for BCBAs. I don't believe in that. I think that a multidisciplinary approach is vital, right? And there's something really powerful that happens when we have their priorities and we have SLP priorities and OT priorities and BCBA priorities, and where we can find that overlap. A multidisciplinary approach, in my little opinion, is vital. Okay. One of the things that I do is I sit on the board of a large ABA company. And part of the reason I agreed to that role is because we have a multidisciplinary approach. OTs and SLPs and BCBAs and clinical psychologists and family therapists and diagnosing physicians all work together. And I freaking love it. And working around the world, that's what we do. We have people from all over. So if you can take a look at this, you can use this Venn diagram also to inform that collaboration, SLP priorities, BCBA priorities, sustainability. We can get people who don't always agree, who don't always see eye to eye, where we overlap, let's go to work there. I would much rather that you go to work, that little overlap, because that way things will actually make a difference and last, okay? So yeah, I know we have some folks here who are not BCBAs, no trouble at all. Welcome, thank you for being here. That's very good news. Also, you should travel with us. We'd love to have you. All right, guys, here's the thing. We were talking about servant leadership, right? And I said, well, it's kind of just been rebranded. It's not like it's this new concept. We used to just call that good leadership. Great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to make a difference. Guys, it's never about the role. It's always about the goal. Okay? Rhymes. It's lovely, right? And that Venn diagram that I just showed you is how you get clear about where that goal is. Now, you may see yourself as the person who comes in a position of leadership on a case. That's fine. But I promise you, if you can focus on the goal instead of the role, if you can step outside of that possibility into just learning from everybody, acknowledging that parents are experts on their own kids. They're experts on their own kids, guys. Mastery is counted in number of hours, not number of years, for a reason. Whenever I meet parents, I always remind them, I'll say, you know, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been doing this for 10 years. And they often have young kids. They go, oh my gosh, you've been doing it so much longer than I have. Say, I've been doing it for more years and fewer hours. They have been doing it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, go ahead and type parent, by the way, if you're a parent on this. I'm just curious. I'm always interested in the parents who are in. Yay, there's some parents here. Good, good. Yep. We have a lot of parents travel with us. The role, and some parents who work in the field, and some people who their role in the field is that they are a parent. And it's just amazing. And it's amazing to take practitioners and have people learn from each other. and have parents around the world learning from each other and have parents sharing with BCBAs. And sometimes we'll take that Venn diagram and we'll take the different roles on a team. We'll say, as a parent in the field, where would your priorities be? As an SLP in the field, where would your priorities be? Look for that overlap. Okay, guys, look for the overlap. Lots of parents, welcome. Y'all are amazing and you're experts. Do you feel that way? Maybe not every day, right? I have a 3-month-old and I'm not clear that I feel like an expert. All right. Vision, 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 all good things. The ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. This is where it gets fun. This is where you get to have conversations with parents. Talk to me, what's your vision for the future? Guys, getting connected to a parent and their vision is really, really powerful clinically. It's really powerful. Now, for some parents, they had a vision and things aren't looking quite the way that they thought. And so they've sort of gone, I haven't really gotten that far, right? I've had so many incredible conversations with parents around the world where we think about and talk about their vision. And I tell you what it often comes down to is they want their child to be loved and enjoy their life. Over and over and over again. I've had thousands of these conversations. They want their child to be loved and enjoy their life. So yeah, they might have this specific thing or that specific thing, right? But having that conversation, having those conversations with parents makes a huge difference. So knowing now that vision is how we get people to follow and stay, let's talk about ownership of a vision. Connecting people's personal visions and missions to what you're trying to accomplish is the most powerful way to align your team. Give me just a moment. Okay, there we go. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about this. Consider your why. Consider their why. Whether it's your staff, whether it's parents, whether it's colleagues that you're working with, where is the overlap and what is the end goal? So we're going to talk about for a moment about what co-creating a vision looks like. Active curiosity. Has anybody ever heard a priority from an RBT or from a parent or from a supervisor, and you are just kind of like, what are they even talking about? And we snap into judgment, right? We snap into like, that's not it. Anyone ever heard that? And have you ever tried to engage with curiosity? To not judge whether it's right or wrong, to not judge whether you agree or disagree, but to just to just ask from a place of curiosity. Yeah, it's incredibly insightful to get curious. And that's anything. Anytime anybody says something that you just completely disagree with, just engage with curiosity. Ooh, what has you say that? Oh, interesting. Have you had that experience? Sometimes people have really strong opinions about something that they've had no experience of, right? And rather than going, oh my gosh, you have no experience of this, you go, have you had that experience? Who knows? Maybe they have. Maybe they're like, no, but somebody sat next to the airplane one time did, and now I have an opinion about it. And it's like that person they sat next to on the airplane was the only person willing to engage with them. So active curiosity. Input. Getting input from everyone. That's where that Venn diagram comes in, right? And then I love this. Be stubborn with your goal and flexible with your method. Be stubborn with your goal and flexible with your method. My friends, working internationally, working in families, working in schools, working in all these places I've worked over the years, this is one of the most important things. To be stubborn with your goal and flexible with your method. What's something that you personally have done where you have had to be stubborn with your goal and flexible with your method? Just one of those things. Go ahead and type in the chat. I know, sometimes I just ask questions in the air. Something that you've accomplished and the road to get there didn't quite look like, all things parenting. So good. Replacement behaviors, teeth brushing, losing weight, yeah. Reinforcement schedule implementation, teaching a parent how to implement a BIP, yes. Stubborn with your goal, flexible with your method, right? And then a culture of feedback is vital to provide and accept feedback. This is one of my, I love it, spending money responsibly in quotes. This is one of my favorite exercises. Oh, can you see my slides? Yep. This is one of my favorite exercises that I have ever done. And it teaches this idea of being flexible, of clearing the decks, of creating a vision from a clearing. I'm going to explain it quickly. And as you can see, people here are playing Jenga. That's what it looks like anyway. And if you look on the left, you see the Jenga blocks. And you'll notice that some of these Jenga blocks are colored in on the end. And feel free to use this exercise with your staff. It's amazing. And we say to the group, go ahead and build something new. And they go, okay. And we say, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Just so you know, you have to keep all of the blocks that are colored in the same place. You cannot move the blocks that are colored. And we're like, okay, right? And then they try to build something new. And oh, by the way, if you can't move the blocks that are colored, like look at this one over on the left, the whole thing's gonna basically have to stay as it is. But what we wanna do is we wanna co-create a vision from a blank slate, right? We want to clear it out so we can really create this vision, not just build on what we have, but create something new. So we tell them, create something new. And they are really frustrated. It's hard to create something new on this stuff that is here, that's just here. It's like, how do I create something new? I can't move anything around. That's what often happens. We go to create a vision, we go to create we go to create a future, and we're not thinking about the things that we think have to stay, that we take for granted. It has to look like this, it has to look like that. So then we say to the group, you know what? Go ahead and move all the blocks. And now you can create something new. Does that make sense? It's hard, it's a little hard to explain. But you'll see in the middle slide here, they were able to create something new. Actually something new. So this just represents the importance of clearing the slate, of starting from a clearing. This is all part of cultivating ownership. When people come in and they feel like there's something already there and all they can do is like move 1 or 2 blocks, not so much ownership. Now, please don't overgeneralize and say, I went to this talk and Molly said we should throw away the whole organization and rebuild it from scratch. No, 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 no. Okay? Different aspects of your organization, you create the container under which it's appropriate to provide this level of feedback. It may be cultivating ownership of how the toys are put away. I want you to think through the things that you struggle with, the things that are challenges in your organization. So here are the 4 I's. It took me a while to come up with 4 I's of cultivating ownership. Inquiry, talked about this. Engage with sincere curiosity. Now, here's the thing to know. Talked about suspending judgment and just being curious. You have no persuasion over anyone you have a judgment about, just to be clear. Input, actively seeking input from every member of the team. I cannot tell you the number of companies I've worked with and they've gone, oh, I don't even know what these RBTs want. We did this and they didn't like it, and we did this and they didn't, I don't even know what these parents want. We did this thing, we do this trunk or treat, and they don't come because they just don't care. No, they don't come because they had no input. I tell you what, you co-create a trunk or treat evening with some of the parents in your business, that thing is going to be hopping. People are going to be there. They're going to have things there that they want. So actively seeking input. information, a culture of feedback, active listening, providing and accepting feedback. We're going to talk about some feedback stuff because it's a vital piece of ownership and it's a vital piece of buy-in and going beyond buy-in. How many of you, go ahead and type in the word feedback if you feel like you could have used a little more feedback, a little more guidance about some places some of the places that you've worked. You could have used more feedback or more guidance. Go ahead and type in the word feedback. It was like you just didn't get the support. Oh my gosh. Okay, you all typed in feedback, basically, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right? And we think of the feedback sandwich. If I do one thing with my life, it's gonna be a throwaway. This feedback sandwich leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth, creates a world in which we think if we say something positive, right? Well, let's test it. If I say to you, hey, I wanted to talk to you about this, today. Listen, you did a really great job with providing immediate reinforcement, whatever. What are you now waiting for me to say? What are you waiting for me to say? I come to you and I say, you did a really great job with X. But, correction. That is the taste left in your mouth from a feedback sandwich. It makes it so that it is almost impossible to even give someone any type of verbal praise or reinforcement for what they've done. Changes the function, right? It now becomes the thing that happens before I say, but, right? So anyway, I'm on a little bit of a mission to kill the feedback sandwich because it leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Maybe you can help me with that. Speaking of purpose, okay, and then implementation, the leadership, the mindset shift, the strong communication. Okay, again, what we talked about is I said, I want to have you shift, fundamentally transform the way in which you relate to your role in this field. What I actually want to invite you to do and what we do through our program is really invite you to step into a bigger role. And by bigger role, I don't mean a promotion. I mean a bigger role in that your purpose is present. Your passion is present. Okay? Yeah, go ahead and type in feedback sandwich if you'll help me kill it, please. Just so I know. Anybody? Or you like, I love it. It's research-based. I love it. Okay, good. I've got some. Okay, good. I've been working on it. Okay, few people. Listen, the challenge that I have with the feedback sandwich is that when I want to tell someone they've done a good job, they're just like waiting for me to tell them, but you didn't do a good job with this. 80-20 is better, and the feedback sandwich. Yeah, I need one of those. The people hold up the sign and it's like, it might would say like, kill the feedback sandwich, change my mind. But I don't think you could change my mind. I've years of giving people feedback, years of this feedback sandwich stuff. And listen, this feedback sandwich isn't unique to this field. I taught swimming lessons for a long time, and it was like, by a long time, I mean teenage and 20s, right? Felt like a long time back then. And we did the feedback sandwich. Really great floating on your back. Excellent flutter kick, right? Make sure you're bringing your arms all the way up to your elbows before they go out straight. Whatever it is. Really great flutter kick. Make sure your elbows coming out of the water first. Perfect rhythmic breathing. It's like, wait, did I get a like was there something buried in there, right? It also creates that when we have corrective feedback, we need to wrap it in bread. It's like, no, it's corrective feedback, nothing wrong, just let's do it differently. Here's a way, right? Anyway, listen, I've worked with lots of people who have implemented ending the feedback sandwich and they appreciate it. All right. Inquiry requires that you adjust your listening, that you ask with genuine curiosity. It requires the belief that everyone wants to do a good job and enjoy where they work. Everyone wants to do a good job and enjoy where they work. If you can approach your interactions from the place of everyone wants to do a good job and enjoy where they work, it will shift things, okay? Common mistakes we see around inquiry, oh my goodness. A survey, asking in a staff meeting, a comment box. No. All this stuff it's a good start at times. It is a start. Let's just say that it's a start. But it's a common mistake. Actively seeking feedback is part of creating an ethical work environment. Okay? Evaluating effects of supervision and training, C13, 217, 218. Behavior analysts actively engage in continual evaluation of their own supervisory practices using feedback from others and client and supervisee or trainee outcomes. Behavior analysts document those self-evaluations and make timely adjustments to their supervisory and training practices as indicated. It does not say behavior analysts give feedback using the feedback sandwich. People will often say, well, I have to do the feedback sandwich from an ethics perspective. No, I don't see the word sandwich there. You don't have to do that. All right. So how do we get really curious? How do we actually ask, why is the comment box? Why is the survey? Why is all that stuff just a start and not really enough? Okay. We use a process of inquiry that I like to call the 5 whys. We need a coffee, I thought I just said a bar. We need a coffee bar in the office. Why? Okay. This might be something that you see in your suggestion box. We need a coffee bar in the office. And so we get the coffee bar in the office, right? But it doesn't address the root cause. So let's get curious. We need a coffee bar in the office. Why? Because Jamie always makes coffee runs for everyone. Oh, why is Jamie making coffee runs for everyone? Well, Jamie has a break during the day and can make the trip. Why? Because Jamie schedules a break for themselves to make time to do that for us. Why is that? Because it puts everyone in a good mood. Why? Because we get to see Jamie and everyone else while grabbing our coffees from the front. Okay. So what's missing? What's missing? Staff connection. So putting that coffee bar in the office, and then this is when company calls me and they say they asked for a coffee bar and I gave them a coffee bar and they don't even use it. Because what's actually missing is staff connection, not the coffee. This isn't to say don't put a coffee bar in your office. This is to say let's be really clear around what's really going on in the staff. Behavior goes where reinforcement flows. Many of us have a history of punishment associated with feedback. Feedback should be directly sought and reinforced. Okay. Somebody asked, have there been any check-ins for CUs? Yes, there were some polls in the beginning. And I skipped a poll. Thank you for letting me know. We'll go back to it. I'll work it in. Okay. Here's an example. Increasingly more and more frustrated with one of her team members who is withdrawing from the group and refusing to participate in team discussions. Pardon the typo. Okay. Why? We can be frustrated, annoyed, and give her space. Oftentimes people say, I'm just giving them space. That person is just walking on eggshells today, or I have to walk on eggshells around that person. I'm just going to give them space. Or we can inquire. We can get curious. Okay. We can learn maybe that Sarah's only been in the field for a year and struggling with finding her voice in a group of experienced team members and felt unsure and intimidated. Unsure, you know what I mean? Unsure. Okay. You can then ask what the person needs and create strategies to support their needs rather than getting frustrated and potentially terminating the person. Okay. Input. I number 2, second I. So we had inquiry, now we're looking for input. This requires, as you can see, we traveled during COVID. This requires that you're cleaning up the past. This requires that you're not stepping over things that don't work. This requires a container. Okay. Very common mistakes made here. People asking for input without a structure or process. Has anyone ever given input to your company and nothing has changed? Type in the word input, if that's the case. Oh my goodness. Hey, what did it lead to when you gave input and nothing changed? What happened? How'd you feel? What? Burnt out, frustrated, left, frustrated, low morale, defeated, frustrated, burned out, frustrated. Yeah. Yeah. Again, common mistakes. Asking for input without a structure or process. Not completing suggestions. Not having focus parameters, strong vision for things that work or don't in your company. High rates of staff turnover, like your feelings and input didn't matter. Yeah. And oh, by the way, burnout. You feel a little burnt out. Go ahead and type in burnout when you feel frustrated. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, burnout's not inevitable. And it's about creating that workplace, creating that container, finding that workplace. There's a number of companies run by Skill Corps alums who have had all this training and they're incredible, and ask for recommendations if you're looking for work, right? Burnout is not inevitable, but burnout happens when we don't inquire, when we don't get input. All right, I'm about to tell you something that's going to change your freaking life. A lot of times when there is dog poop on the ground and somebody hasn't picked it up, what do? What do? Type it in the chat. Get annoyed, walk by, complain, step in it, Complain but don't pick it up, complain, Walk past it, judge them for not picking up, we do it, do other, right? If we're in a hurry, what do we mostly do so we don't get it on our shoes? I don't know if y'all could see me. Am I on camera? Like licking my pumpkin foam off my drink here, right? We avoid it, we cover it, we walk around it. Yeah. Hey guys, the same thing happens when something a little unpleasant happens at work. We step over it. We let it happens, and we step over it. What have you stepped over this week at work or last week? Something happened and you didn't address it. You didn't provide feedback. Somebody came late. Somebody didn't clean up the toys. You tell me, what have you stepped over? It's all good. I just know y'all have, because everyone does. Unless you've traveled with us and had this training and you were like, I never step over anything anymore, right? What have you stepped over? Type it in the chat. Something happened at work and you didn't address it. Oh, I have to like scroll. Staff coming in late. Step over it. What else? Again, burnout is not inevitable, but we cannot step over things. Oh my goodness, special ed teaching, speaking, not comparing session notes on time, lack of communication, staff not cleaning up, staff coming in late. Yeah, step over it. Completing, not completing session notes, got it. Yeah, parent changing the time for the therapy session at the last meeting, stepped over it. 8 docs due on the same day, impossible, stepped over it. Yeah, step over it. Here's the thing about stepping over it, guys. Okay, what we call these things, by the way, is a breakdown. Okay, and we want to transform breakdowns to breakthroughs. Parent canceling last minute after you drove 45 minutes. And you said, oh, it's okay. Stepped over it. Well, no problem, right? What happens when there's a breakdown is burnout, right? Trying to get buy-in, and now we're all frustrated and burnt out and exhausted. Okay, with any challenge, you have the power to transform it from a breakdown to a breakthrough. Type in the word breakthrough if you want to know how to address breakdown so that you do not have to step over things anymore ever again. I've got a little framework for you, little system All right, here's the deal. We've developed a system for working through breakdowns by dealing with it ASAP. What's ASAP stand for? Type in the chat. Might have people here from other countries as well, and they're not actually familiar. So yes, as soon as possible, as soon as possible, as soon as possible. Okay. Here's the framework. Come on, slide. Here's what we do. Somebody comes in late for work. Somebody doesn't clean up the toys. A parent tells you they don't need a session after you drive for 45 minutes. Ugh, right? If you're in the Northeast right now, as Marissa says, that's really hot right now and rough day to be in the car for 45 minutes with the sun beating on you, okay? We acknowledge it. There's been a breakdown. We search. We look for a pattern. Is this something that happens over and over again? Is this a breakdown with a pattern, is it a pattern? Is it a system, process, or person, right? You look for those patterns in that breakdown. We act immediately. We get out of the breakdown. We act immediately. We address it. We acknowledge it. We act, right? So this person who came late and you stepped over it this week, is this the first? Well, let me just ask you this. A breakdown that you've dealt with in the last 2 weeks. I want you to think of the person. I want you to think of the breakdown. And I want you to type in the chat, when was the first time this was a problem? Was it in the last 2 weeks? Was it months ago? Was it years ago? How long has this been an issue? Type it in the chat. Press enter. Months, months, months. Somebody says 3 years ago. All right, I need to scroll up and see what your answer was. 3 years ago. And it was also a problem this week, correct? Scrolling. So this is absolutely a pattern. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. Okay. Yeah, it's been a problem for 3 years. It's been a problem for a month. I'm not able to find your previous answer, Nicole, but type it in. What was the thing that was stepped over? Okay. So here is the question. I do a lot of executive coaching, and I would say, we do scheduled calls and we do an emergency call. And you always have an emergency call included. That's just like, I've talked to immediately. I have the situation. It's almost always they have to terminate someone. Something's happened. And I say, when is the last? And I say, when is the last time? When is the first time this was an issue? And they go, oh, well, this is that person I talked to about back in, I think it was January. And I'm like, it's October. It's been going on for 10 months. Yeah, but now it's just gotten really bad. Like they didn't show up and, it wasn't this bad. They had been kind of showing up late, but now they just didn't show up. And I didn't realize they weren't showing up for a couple of weeks and we were billing. I mean, it just turns into a whole thing. And the reason is because it was stepped over. Because what happens when you step over and step over and step over dog poop on the sidewalk? Eventually someone steps what? Go ahead and type it in the chat. Step over it, you step over it, you step over it. Eventually you step in it. In shit, yeah. And now you have dog poop all over your shoes. And what happens when you come in the room and you don't notice? Because nobody cleaned it up. You've got dog poop on your shoe. You're walking around the carpet. It stinks. It gross out. It spreads. Guys, a breakdown in your business is no different. A breakdown in your family is no different. A breakdown unaddressed is no different than dog poop on the rug. If someone steps in dog poop, it doesn't get cleaned up, and they're walking around the living room or the clinic, and there's 7 people there that day. Who else is impacted by the dog poop they've stepped in? Everyone. Everyone is impacted by the dog poop they've stepped in. Guys, the same is true when a staff member comes late and you don't address it. The same is true when things don't get cleaned up and you don't address it. Toys, right? In the center, teaching materials. No, 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 no. It's only Kristen. She was late, but no, everyone else was on time. Yeah, Kristen was late. They saw that you didn't address it and they decided in their mind, okay, it's all right if I'm a little late. The way I want you to know if something needs to be addressed is if every single person in the company started doing that thing, would it be okay? If every single person in the company wasn't putting away the toys, would it be okay? If every single person in the company was showing up 10 minutes late, would it be okay? No? Great. That's your test. You've got a breakdown. Here we go. We acknowledge, we search, we act, we present. Let me see the next slide. Okay. So acknowledge. Listen, I care too much about you to step over. I noticed this morning that you were 10 minutes late. And I care too much about you and your success here to step over this. That's it. It's that simple. I just don't want to step over it. Did something happen this morning? Yes, there was a ton of traffic. Oh, got it. Okay. Right? That's going to happen, guys. And what would you have wanted that person to do differently? You didn't hear from them and they rocked up 10 minutes late carrying their Starbucks. What would you have wanted them to do differently? Type it in the chat. Yeah. Call. Guys, it's that simple. Hey, Kristen, I noticed this morning that you were 10 minutes late, and here's the deal. I care way too much about you and your success here to just step over that. So I just wanted to see did something happen? I'm curious. Not in trouble, nothing wrong. It's never happened before. In your staff onboarding, orientation, etc., you're establishing that we don't step over things here. We address things. Okay, I want you to search for patterns. Is it only Kristen showing up late, or is it Sarah and Biljana and Annie? Are they showing up late too? What's missing in your company if everyone's showing up late, right? A little structure, a little discipline. And I want you to act immediately to course correct, to get out of the breakdown and move forward. Create a plan to avoid this in the future. Yeah, there was a ton of traffic. Oh, got it. There was a ton of traffic. I noticed that too. Here's what would work really well. Are you able to give us a call if you're running late? Of course they are, right? That would work really well for us because we just didn't know where you were. There was really an impact. I didn't know if I had to get somebody to cover for you or whatever. But it's that simple, guys, and you relate to that conversation about the breakdown in the same way that you relate to dog poop on your shoe. I care way too much about you, Biljana, to not tell you you have dog poop on your shoe. Care too much about you, Rachel. Gotta let you know. Got dog poop on your shoe. Nothing wrong, you just have dog poop on your shoe, right? When you address it before it turns into a big stinking pile, it's like just easy. Just relate to a breakdown as you relate to dog poop, okay? So then you act. That's that conversation around give us a call next time. Are you able to leave earlier? What time do you think you would have had to leave so that if you had hit traffic, it wouldn't have impacted your arrival time? Listen, sometimes they're like, I don't know, man, like I left 20 minutes early and it was like I turned down this road and there was construction. I turned down this road, there was garbage, whatever. Right? But that's where you create the plan so it doesn't happen again. And then you present what you learned. Now, listen, sometimes you don't need to present what you learned with others in your organization. You don't have to say, hey, you know, Annie was late today and this is what we, right? But if it's systemic, if a lot of people are arriving late and you don't want to step over it, because you don't want to step over it, right? Want to clean it up. Go ahead and type clean it up if you can see the importance of cleaning it up to transform a breakdown to a breakthrough. Go ahead and type it in. Yeah. See that? And go ahead and type in the first initial of the first name of the person that you're going to go in and clean up a breakdown with. This ideally today, but by next week. First initial. All right, got it. DKMIKJCECBNV. Yeah. And what are those breakdowns? Just type them in for me. What happened? Did the person come late? Did they not clean up? What's the thing? Listen, y'all, there's 75 of you, 77 of you on this call, 75 of you, two staff. All right. And I see the same names over and over again. I want to hear from more of you. Okay. Communication with parents, take data, not holding staff accountable to policy. Yes, 100%. Please do that, right? Because if you don't hold staff accountable to policies, then your policies don't matter. And then it's like your policies are like please let your dog poop on this grass, not over here, right? And so it's like keep off grass, right? For this dog poop example that we're running with at this point. And so your policies allow that. The short notice, yeah, right? And that's super easy. I just want to address, I just wanted to connect with you and address that today you had to cancel services and it was a really short notice for us. And I just wanted to let you know the impact is that, we had somebody drive all the way out to you and then learn that they weren't needed. What was I saying? Sorry. I just want to address it. We had somebody drive out to you and then learn that they weren't needed and that didn't really work well. We could have put them on another case or had them not work today, whatever it is, right? That's it. I just want to address it. That's it. I just want to address it. You don't have to say I care too much about you, just not step over it. That works well with staff, right? Yeah. Staff following interventions as written, communication with parents, feeling defeated, not knowing how to do things her way. Feedback sucks. Doesn't have to suck. You can relate to feedback as you relate to dog poop. You just letting them know. Just want to address, just want to chat about. Yeah. How are you, right? Starting with how are you? Why did that parent cancel last minute like that? What happened? Did they get a phone call that somebody's not well? Did they not realize that they weren't well? Like what happened? Just wanted to check in and see what happened. That works too. I just wanted to check in and see what happened. Right? Is there anything we could have done differently? Yeah. At the conclusion of a team-hosted lunch event with parents from the community, the team was asked to quickly gather their belongings and load onto the bus. The team felt rushed, caught off guard, and like they didn't have time to wrap up the conversations they were in before it was time to leave. Oof. This is rough, right? Tell them it was time to leave and move on. That's it, guys. It's time to leave. These people showed up late. We didn't have time. Or address the breakdown using the ASAP framework. You can imagine that we chose to address the break. This is a real life example. You can imagine that we chose to address the breakdown using the ASAP framework. Okay. We acknowledge what happened. I just had this happen, guys. We were doing a hiring. We hire in bunches here, and we were hiring, and what happened? Yes, we were hiring and we hadn't gotten back in touch. And listen, I know a lot of companies don't get back in touch with people who they've not selected for a role, but we hadn't gotten back in touch. We hadn't closed that loop with people who had not been selected for a role. Again, I know for a lot of companies, they don't do that. As somebody who might apply for jobs at some point in my life, though I haven't because I've been doing this for my whole life, I would want to hear. I would want some feedback. I would want some like, no, we've decided to go with someone else, right? So I just used this framework and I wrote an email and I said, I want to address a breakdown that happened with our hiring process. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I feel terrible, right? Not because I'm not sorry, not because I don't feel terrible, but let's just address it as a breakdown. Guys, every single person wrote back and was like, thank you so much for acknowledging this. It makes such a difference. This is exactly why I want to be part of the organization, because you take responsibility for things, because you address these breakdowns, because you don't step over things. Okay? So acknowledging or addressing the breakdown using the ASAP framework goes a very, very long way. Even the breakdown, some of you had typed in that most of you had typed in that you provided feedback and that nobody had implemented anything. Well, there's a breakdown. Go ahead and type in long way if it would have gone a long way for leadership to acknowledge that you provided feedback and they didn't do anything about it. Yeah, right? They said, hey, Frank, listen, there's been a breakdown. I know you provided this feedback, and I just wanted to let you know, it went into the comment box. We did discuss it at the staff meeting. And here's some, justification for why we're not moving forward. Or even just, we didn't address it. You gave us great feedback and we didn't address it in a timely manner. Would have gone a long way, right? Yeah, lots of you type long way. Somebody just type, yep, that works. I know what you mean. All right. Number three, there we go. Information requires a feedback culture, requires two-way communication, requires that we have a container for communication, okay? Here are some common mistakes. There is no structure for feedback. We have not created a feedback culture, right? This often happens with this feedback sandwich. Avoiding one-to-one check-ins until after a problem has occurred. Okay, a feedback culture means we meet and we're giving each other feedback and we're in communication all the way through it. Okay? Want to introduce you to another framework. Gave you the Venn diagram. Now I'm going to give you our essential framework. Would you guys be interested in a framework that's going to allow you to transform not only your work relationships, but your personal relationships as well? Go ahead and type in essential if that's the case. Type in the word essential and hit enter. I am pulling up my little cheat sheet slides here. All right. Yeah, guys, this framework is mind-blowing. I've shared it in all kinds of stages. I might do a TEDx talk with it, but anyway, all right. Done a talk on doing with and not for. That was interesting, and I'll send it along to y'all if you want it. You can also just Google it. But all of this, guys, is aligned with this idea of doing with and not for. Do you see that? Okay. Here's the essential framework, my friends. We talked about me teaching bed making. In my world, it was completely essential that beds get made. Given this framework, essential, preferable, preferable to me, where does daily bed making live? Go ahead and type it in the chat. Preferable to me, preferable to me. Yeah, the choices being, is it essential that in my home? Yes. Is it essential that the bed gets made every day? In the grand scheme of things, not in my mind, in the grand scheme of things. Is it preferable that the bed gets made every day, or is it preferable to me? Okay, give you a few examples of this. You got it. Preferable to me, preferable to me, preferable to me. RBTs need to feel comfortable coming to BCBAs with anything they need to be successful in their role. Yes or yes. Essential is that your RBTs feel comfortable approaching you with questions and concerns as soon as they arise. Preferable. Preferable is your RBTs feel comfortable approaching you with questions and concerns as soon as they arise. And preferable to you might be, and guys, fill in the blanks. It doesn't necessarily have to be RBTs, okay? Preferable to you might be the RBTs feel comfortable approaching you with questions and concerns as soon as they arise. They present challenges with their own possible solutions and only come to you with questions that need to be answered by you, and don't ask the same question twice. Right? Someone says, my kids know they need to make the bed before they get on the bus. Oh, yeah. My daughter is going to know that too. I better start teaching her tonight. Okay? So RBTs feel comfortable approaching you with questions and concerns as soon as they arise. They present challenges with their own possible solutions and only come to you with questions that need to be answered by you, and don't ask the same questions twice. Wouldn't that be nice if that's how it worked? Okay. Is that how it always goes? No. I hate to tell you, it doesn't, right? But what happens is we create the standards under which we want somebody to approach us, right? And what we forget is that it's essential that people are comfortable coming to us. All right, so I have some other examples. That was my wife just walking in. All All right. Clinic director really frustrated with lack of cleanup after materials after sessions. What's essential? The materials go back in the bins. I want you all to type in just what's your preferable to you when it comes to materials being put away. What's your preferable to you? Are they put away at the end of the week? Are they put away at the end of the day? Are they cleaned before they're put away? Are they put away between sessions? Put away at the end of the day, put away after session, end of session, after each session, clean, end of project immediately once they're done being used, put away at the end of session, clean, put away. Once they're done being used, clean up, put away, put away, put away. So it varies, right? It varies, and this is the preferable to you. And it's essential that the materials get put away at some point, right? So you can use this framework. Guys, this essential framework, what's the behavioral term for this? What kind of procedure is this? Type it in the chat. Press enter. It's a shaping procedure, but we start with what's essential. Go back to my bed example, making the bed. What was essential in that situation? What was absolutely essential? Any idea? Remember, what I'm actually teaching is morning routine. What was absolutely essential? School-age kid has to go to school. And I'm here like, make your bed. Leave the bed, get up. Morning routine works with the family culture. Corners had to be tucked. That would definitely be in the preferable to me category, right? The morning routine is what I'm teaching. I'm over here in preferable to me trying to teach you how to make a bed like in the army or something, in a hospital, right? What's essential is that the kid gets out of bed and goes to school, right? It's actually not essential that she stay on the bed. It's actually not essential that the corners are tucked. It's not essential that the comforter goes. No. It's essential that the kid goes to school. That's what actually has to happen. This is a kid, we're working on morning routine, strong preferences to lay in bed all day and read books. Same kid, same, right? And I don't know if you've all seen that research of like the rights of people to like lay in bed and eat donuts or something, but that's not what we're talking about. This is a school age kid. He has to go to school. He cannot lay in bed all day and read books. Lovely wants to read books. Is a classic article, agreed, right? But this kid has to go to school. What's essential is not that the bed gets made. It's essential the kid gets up out of bed. And by the way, preferable to me, we may never get there, especially in this family, especially with this kid. We're likely not getting to preferable to me because it's not aligned with the culture of the family. But sometimes we do. Sometimes we get to preferable to me, right? Oh, I thought I had a different example for you. So I want you to take an example of you are working with a family, and when you go into the household, the kid is sitting in the kitchen at one of those little tables, kind of smearing ketchup on the table, and the parents are in the other room watching TV. And what you're working towards is that they are appropriately, they're appropriately teaching a kid, I don't know what you're working towards. They're appropriately teaching dinner table manners or whatever, right? So tell me, what's essential in that routine, in that household, in that program, what's essential? The dinner is eaten, yep. What else? Supervision, safety, yep. Dinner eaten properly, yep. Kids getting nutrition, right? It's not just smearing ketchup on the table. Parent needs to be in the room, they stay in the house, yeah. What would preferable to you look like in that situation? You've walked in, kids sitting in the kitchen, smearing ketchup on the table, parents are in the other room watching TV. What do you really want that to look like? This is a kid who has needs, they need support, right? Same room, eating at the same time, parents are with them, supervise that they're being a parent, parents are eating dinner with the child, yeah, right? But we start with the shaping of like the kid eats their meal. And maybe it's essential to us that the parent is in the same room. And maybe it's preferable to us that they're in the same room and they're prompting them through manners. Maybe it's essential, maybe it's preferable to us that they're in the same room prompting them through manners and taking data on things they're doing independently, modeling their new skills, helping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? It's a shaping procedure. Okay? So again, this is all about this framework of essential, preferable, preferable to me. Think about in your house something that you have that you like done a certain type of way. Maybe it's the laundry, maybe it's a dishwasher, maybe it's the kitchen cabinet. Type it in the chat. What is your thing that you hang out over and preferable to me, and that is how you like things done? Folding towels, dishes directly in dishwasher, clear kitchen counters, how the dishwasher is loaded. You're like my wife. Tetris, right? Wash dishes before putting them in the dishwasher. Dishes, they can't pile up. They have to be washed after every meal. Doing the laundry, loading the dishwasher, laundry, right? I get it. Listen, I'm a like, you wash it, you dry it, you take it out warm, and you fold it or hang it. While it's still warm, I don't want wrinkles. Is that essential or preferable to me? That laundry routine I just gave you. Yep. Preferable to me, but it's superior. Yes, exactly. But it's also the right way to do things. Okay. Do you see any opportunity anywhere that you could create a shaping procedure that you could, so tell me my laundry people, what's essential in the laundry world? I just gave you the preferable to me. What's essential? Clean clothes available. Clothes get clean and dry. Clean clothes. Yes. Yes. What's essential with the dishwasher? What's absolutely essential? Okay. Clean dishes. Yeah, clean dishes to use. That's what's essential. All right. I'm going to recap a bit. And I want to give you a chance. You've been using the chat. You've been amazing. I want to give you a chance to ask some questions here. Okay, so I've got a few specific spots. One is, first of all, are you starting to see? Here we go. Here we go. Ooh, we've done a lot. All right. Are you starting to see that burnout is not inevitable? Anybody? Not inevitable. Are you starting to see the key things that lead to burnout? Yes, it absolutely depends on the leader. You're exactly right. What are the things that lead to burnout? Enforcing our own preferences on others, yes. Not listening to your staff, overload, no purpose, yes, 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 yes. So many factors, so many things leading up to it though, right? Breakdown, self-priority, chasing the same things over and over again. No ownership, lack of partnership, misalignment between their priorities and ours. You got it. You got it. And if you're being honest, if you look at that list, these things are present, aren't they? Right? I wish the higher ups in our company were attending this. Well, listen, tell them. Replays available online. Okay? Guys, it's not inevitable. It requires structure, it requires purpose, right? Okay. Are there any questions? Well, let's do this. Do with, not for. I showed you a Venn diagram. Okay. What were the 3 circles that overlapped? Just a little quiz for you. What were the 3 circles that overlapped in that Venn diagram? Go ahead and type it in. I have the wrong window open. There we go. You got it. Yeah, their priorities, our priorities, sustainability. Great, right? This is how we do with and not for. There's a TEDx talk by Molly Ola Pinney that you can watch if you want to learn more about that. All right. What is better than buy-in? Go ahead and type the answer. This is like a little quiz. It could be like a little CEU check. I don't know if y'all can see the answers you're all typing. Exactly. Ownership. Ownership, ownership, ownership. And what is the most vital ingredient? This one isn't as clear. What is the most vital ingredient for cultivating ownership? Let's see, this one wasn't quite as clear. Purpose, you got it. Yeah, collaboration, vision, yes, all of the above, really, right? But that purpose. Anybody remember the recipe of purpose? It's back here. Okay. So close. Contribution and passion equals purpose. Okay. That's how we get purpose. Contribution and passion. Okay, I want to take a moment and open this up. Go ahead and type in any questions you have for me. I always like to reserve time for questions. I've got a bit of time for questions here. What are the questions that you have for me? Go ahead and type them in and hit enter. What are your like, yeah, but, what ifs, I don't think so, she doesn't know? Type that in. Let's chat. And be sure to hit enter. By the way, this is why I just asked you a bunch of questions, right? Believe it when it comes out of your mouth. I love it. Okay, so how do different cultures affect this system and how do you work with it? Well, first of all, excellent question. Second of all, these frameworks that I have introduced to you today were all developed working internationally. So certainly the Venn diagram, right? Their priorities, our priorities, and sustainability. That was literally created on a bus in India. We were trying to figure out like, how are we going to work together? You know, because what we would do is we'd go in, we'd see the center, we'd have 8 different people who work in the field, have personal and professional experience with autism. They go, oh my gosh, they have to start doing this, or they have to start doing that. So one of the times we were there, and this is why we're doing it in India, we had a clinical psychologist with us, and she was like, oh my gosh, they have the kids' IQ scores on the wall. We have to get those IQ scores off the wall. That's absolutely a priority. And I was like, okay, got it. Okay, understood. Why? I don't really know, but like, you're a clinical psychologist and you said we should, and I see some, I can kind of see it. So like, okay. And then we had somebody else and they were like, oh my gosh, we have to stop the hand over hand prompting. Oh my gosh, we have to, all these things, right? And so what we realized is that our team had a lot of different priorities. And I knew the center and I knew the staff and I knew a bit more about the culture than a lot of the people traveling. And I said, because one of the things, right, was we have to get people to stop physically feeding the kids. And so I had them write down their priorities, knowing that there were a lot of them. And I had a lot of kind of strong-willed people, which is amazing and great and challenging. And then I also knew that our partner site had a lot of priorities. And so we had this kind of two-part Venn diagram. And then we added sustainability, because what actually matters is what happens when we leave. I don't actually care at all, nor will I judge the success of your intervention if it works while you're there and the second you leave, it doesn't. So we used to call that the flyaway test. So that's one thing. The essential framework, same thing, developed in Ghana, used in many, many centers since then. The essential framework, okay, was developed when we were taking frequency data in Ghana. And go ahead and type in the chat, what do you need to type in, what do you need to type in, what do you need to take frequency data? What's something that's very helpful to have to take frequency data? I'm scrolling down here. Yeah, clicker, counter, yeah, right? So, oh, lots of great questions, guys. Okay, so we were looking for a tally counter. We were walking all over Ghana. We were going to all the markets. We were looking for a tally counter because we had to teach taking frequency data. We spent an entire day of our 8-day trip looking for a tally counter. I remember we were then sitting there that night and we were just like, what a stupid use of time. We should not have looked for this tally counter, but how on earth are we going to teach data collection? There's no data being collected in the center at the time. And so the essential framework was born. It was essential that data is collected. It's preferable that it's frequency data, and it's preferable to us that's frequency data using a tally counter. But when we went all the way back to essential and we asked questions and we created ownership around this experience of data collection, they had incredible, incredible ideas for how to collect frequency data. And we just presented it as a challenge. And that's one thing that can be really, really powerful in teaching and working, is you present it as a challenge. So, hey guys, we need to count the number of times this kid's doing XYZ, how should we do it? And we had someone literally like cut a bracelet off their wrist and go, I'm gonna start with the beads in this pocket, I'm gonna shift them to this pocket. Great, we ended up using that in a classroom in New York City where they didn't want the clicker sound, right? Sometimes kids are distracted or reinforced by the clicker sound. So let's see. And then in terms of the not stepping over things, that has thus far translated totally fine. It's been completely fine to say, like, I don't want to step over this, this happened, right? Now, that being said, I'm not going to go to India and say, hey, I don't want to step over this, but we did start 20 minutes late. Things tend to start 20 minutes late in other countries sometimes. So that's the one thing I'll say, is that you want to align your priorities with the appropriate, with the culture that you're in, right? I'm not going to go and go, hey, you know, I want to step over. Dinner took 3 hours last night. It's like, yeah, dinner takes 3 hours in this country. Okay. So that would be that. All right. Let me read the next one. How would you handle an RBT that's talked to the staff as a whole about a concept that was factually and ethically incorrect? How would you address that person? How would you address that specific staff member? Okay, so with curiosity, I would ask the RBT where they learned it. I would give the RBT the opportunity to take responsibility for it and offer a correction. So, you know, I think we often think, oh my gosh, that would be so stressful, that would be so hard. I think you will be pleasantly surprised if you give that RBT the opportunity to clean that up on their own and to say, earlier I said this, I've since learned that it's not accurate, right? We don't see a whole lot of that. We don't see a whole lot of integrity in leadership. We don't see a whole lot of taking responsibility for all of it. It's a breath of fresh air for people. All right, good question here. If a lot of things have been stepped over at an organization, where do you start to prioritize? That's a great question. And I'm not sure. So Michelle, depends a little bit on your role in the company. If you want to type in your role in the company. That'll help me just give me a little bit more context. So let me see here. So at a company where a lot of things have been stepped over, are you in leadership? Are you a BCBA? Are you an RBT? You know, what's your role? Somebody go ahead and type it in. Who am I answering? Not Hannah. Michelle, yeah. Okay, great. Supervisor for an adult day program, BCBA, part of management team. Love it. So you, in your role, have an incredible opportunity to clean it all up, right? To have a conversation about things that are working and not working as well as you want them to. And I would start there. You know, we really want this place to run on all cylinders. We really want this to be a great workplace. We really want to be providing quality services. And I need to hear from everybody what's working and not working as well as we want it to. One of the tools that we use is called a plus delta. So the plus is things that we want more of, and the delta is things that we want to see change. Because really, Michelle, you know, in the way that the Jenga blocks, it's like we can't just take out 1 or 2 Jenga blocks and fundamentally shift the culture here. But what we can do is we can totally start from scratch. We can clean it all the way up, and we could say, okay, moving forward, we're not going to step over these things. Because what has happened, somebody's going to say lateness probably, right? Because what's happened is that when people are late, we haven't actually addressed it in the moment. So we're going to start addressing it in the moment. Okay, you also want to gauge with your team where the priority is. Where is the thing that is making the biggest impact to your productivity in your company or your efficiency? And by productivity and efficiency, I don't mean like number of billable hours. Obviously, you're an adult program also. But I just mean like joyful, right? Like the thing that is like sucking the most joy. I love it. How do you use this exercise to impact change when you're only the middle person? Well, my friend Crystal, you stop seeing yourself as only the middle person. You start seeing yourself as a change maker in the world. And I can't scroll all the way up because I'll lose everything. Here's the thing. We think we can only make change when we are in a position of leadership. I have seen over and over and over again, that is completely untrue. It is not true that we can only make change from a position of leadership. And in some people go, well, it's a whole lot easier. No, not necessarily, right? That's where we get into that buy-in thing. It is if you use these tools and you cultivate ownership. But what I would do is I would start having conversations with other people. I would find out what their challenges are. I would find out what changes they would want to see, right? And I'm not necessarily saying unionize, but I'm saying like get together, ask people what's working, what's not working. Ask management. I guarantee you that some of the things that you're dealing with are some of the things that they're trying to address, and they're not thinking about asking only the middle person. You get to be that person who goes to them and says, I wanted to come directly to you. I care a lot about this company, and I want to talk with you about how we can make things better. Notice I didn't say, you guys need to make this better for me. This concept of doing with and not for can be applied from the leadership level. It can also be applied in the opposite direction, right? So doing with and not for your leadership team, doing with and not for RBTs, doing with and not for the middle people, okay? Cool. Are there copies of slides? We don't do copies of slides. We just, because some of them say things like this, we just do, okay, got it. Hannah, I see your question now. We don't send out copies of slides. We do like a little handout that has the vital stuff in it. So the short answer is yes-ish. Okay. I'm going to be posting more of this stuff to my LinkedIn. If you're not connected to me on LinkedIn, my name is Molly Ola Pinney. Go ahead and connect to me there. You'll see more of it there if you're on LinkedIn. All right, Hannah, we're back here. How would you handle? Okay, got it. All right. How would you address the staff as a whole and the specific team members? So I addressed this a little bit, right? I want you to give your RBT the opportunity to clean that up on their own. Nothing wrong, they just had misinformation, and we don't want misinformation, right? Again, I would be curious. I would ask them where they learned that. You would be amazed at the number of people who learn total malarkey from higher ups. All right. Counter clicker. Okay. Keep the questions coming, guys. All right. Okay, good. All right. Another question. It's different. Co-create. Hang on. Okay. How do you co-create, collaborate with all staff? Our company uses anonymous surveys. Oh, yeah. Anonymous surveys. Yeah. All right. Listen. So the first thing I would do is I would ask, why are we using anonymous surveys? How have we created a culture here where people feel like they can't come to us and share what's going on? I don't think that you need to take anonymous surveys out altogether, but I think adding in non-anonymous surveys. People don't have to be anonymous to get feedback. It's almost like when we say feedback can be given anonymously, it's like you don't have to have any ownership around your experience in the company, right? Again, time and a place. We have an anonymous Dropbox for like it, just in case something happens on a trip and people don't feel comfortable addressing our team. It's never been used, right? Because we create this culture of feedback within the organization. We create this culture of feedback when we go out on our trips. All right. It's different to have feedback. Sarah, can you just provide a little bit more context? It's different to have feedback from 20 or 30 RBTs. Yeah, you know, one of the greatest tools that I love, and Sarah, I'm not sure what your role is in the company, but one of the greatest tools that I really love is to have a town hall or open forum with your RBTs, so that you are able to hear directly from people about what's working, what's not working. Again, creating that container, having that plus delta, what's working, what's not working as well as we want it to, that can work well. Okay, Sarah. I'm a BCBA and supervisor of the clinic. I do hiring as well. Great. You are in a great place to host an open house town hall with your 20 to 30 RBTs and see what's going on. And I have yet to come across a company who's not open to doing that. So, all right, what are some probing questions when someone says, I don't know, when asking about what their vision is or what they want for their individual? Love it. One of the things that I often say to people, and it completely shifts their answer, is I say, well, what if you did know? Then what would you say? Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is to get really much more clear, right? So to talk to them about, to say, you know, when it comes to X, what would you want to see? When it comes to how you feel 10 years in the future, what would you want that to be like, et cetera, right? But it can be really powerful to say, well, what if you did know? Sometimes we're like, well, if I did know, I would say this. All right, recommendations for cultivating a culture of feedback, specifically thinking about the challenges for consultants in education who may be seen as an outsider. Recommendations for cultivating culture of feedback. Give me a little bit more. Okay, challenges in consultants education. So here's the thing. I spent a lot of years consulting to schools, and I use the same principles and concepts as I use working internationally. I use the essential framework. I use the Venn diagram. I learned about the culture of that classroom, because yeah, you're definitely an outsider when you're coming into a school. And what ended up happening is that teachers would request that I could work with them. Okay, the teachers would request that I could work with them. And really what happened is I was just really listening. I think listening is extraordinarily powerful. So, you know, we feel like we have to go in and we have to say the thing because we're paid to say the thing and we're paid to know the thing. But you would be amazed at the amount of transformation and consultation that you're able to provide by asking questions. In most of the coaching that I do, I'm asking questions. I truly believe that most people, when asked the right question, will come to the quote right answer, right? So, and I learned that from a family physician literally back in the 90s. He said, you know, if you talk to someone long enough, they'll let you know what's really going on. And literally he meant like they'll diagnose themselves with diabetes or cancer or whatever they're dealing with. Just listen, just talk to them long enough. And so I really have taken that and used that. And this is not nearly as complex. This is like really how to have this work well in your classroom. So asking more than telling, because as this slide says, people believe things when it comes out of their own mouth. All right, in BCBA, I work under a center director that always says in regard to RBT concerns, if they have concerns, they can come to me, and consistently reminds people of her open door policy. However, she comes off as not approachable. How do you recommend doing to help my center director understand the RBT's perspective? So, first of all, I used to have an open door policy. My door was always, always, always open, which meant if somebody came in, they were always, always, always interrupting me. So I shifted to office hours, and my staff said I was more approachable when I had office hours. I was more available. I was more accessible. I was more approachable when I had office hours, even though anytime they came in, I wasn't like, oh, what do you need? You know, I was just like, hey, good to see you. Come on in. Do you want water? You know, whatever. It is an open door policy that's open 12 hours a day, 8 days a week, or however, it's not how many hours are in a day, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, is not truly an open door policy. Because as the person with the open door policy, you have to set aside time to actually do work. And so what it is it's a come and interrupt me policy, right? It's not actually open door. It's come and interrupt me. And nobody wants to interrupt anybody. So one of the things that that you might share with that person is that if it's true in your company, is that when we come to your open door policy, because you work and you're often doing something, it feels as though we're interrupting you. So you may start there. The other thing is this idea, if they have concerns, they can come to me. I would ask, do they come to you? How often do they come to you? What concerns have they brought to you? And listen, maybe they're going to be like, blah, 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 and they may go, you know, I don't think I've really heard the concerns. So if these concerns are not being heard or not being acted upon, there's that to look at. I think that she comes off as not approachable. What do you recommend? Yeah. So I think really curiosity. Like if she says, well, if they have concerns, they can come to me. You can be like, when can they come to you? And she's like, anytime. And you're like, you know, people are often hesitant to interrupt people. So are they interrupting you if they come to you anytime? She's like, of course they're interrupting me. I'm a very busy person, right? So I think that kind of line of questioning, not sure if that helps, Taylor. You can type in if you have, and anybody who I've addressed your questions, you can type in if I've missed something or lack context or you need additional info. But yeah, I would definitely have a conversation about said open door policy. I would do it from a place of curiosity, not like you're wrong, no one cares, no one likes your open door policy, it's terrible. That's that judgment, right? And engaging with curiosity is always more powerful. Oh, right, okay. I'm wondering, you explained the Jenga metaphor, but how would you handle taking over a patient who's already benefited from ABA sessions? Great question. You can't start on a clean slate, not take into consideration what had been taught before. Yeah, so it's not, I wouldn't use this for like teaching specific ABA skills. I would use this more for how we're going to interact, how we're going to work together, what the relationship is going to be like, the professional relationship between our company and this family, if they've had experience that has not been great before in the field. The other thing is, this is for when your team and your interpersonal dynamics, if you want something done differently there. So that's what I would say there. All right. It is particularly difficult to get buy-in by SLPs. Many think we're stepping on their toes. Even just trying to get good collaboration can be very challenging. I would encourage you to challenge that notion even in your own mind. See, when you go in with it's difficult to get buy-in by SLPs, you are going to encounter it being very challenging to get buy-in by SLPs. I have worked with, I don't know, 50 something SLPs over the years easily, right? Doing this for 20 years. And I've never had that experience. So totally got that that's your experience, and it is a valid experience and it is true. And what's important to get is that when that experience creates a filter in your thinking and of how you're viewing the world of SLPs are hard to work with, you are going to find that SLPs are hard to work with. And frankly, those SLPs don't really stand a chance. So I would say, you know, getting buy-in from SLPs is no different than getting buy-in from anyone else, and getting that Venn diagram out and maybe just drawing it, saying, listen, you have you have priorities for them, and I have priorities for them, and the family has priorities for them. And I really want to work in a place that's super effective. We all do. So let's see where that overlap is. Okay, but what's vital, Sandy Lee, is that you remove the filter of this is a group that's difficult to work with. Okay. Yes, you got it. This lines with the coaching model really well. Ask, yeah, that's what I do. I coach. Asking rather than telling and getting the person to come to their own conclusions. Yes, this is also known as a Socratic approach, right? Socrates believed that everybody had the answer. And a Socratic approach to teaching is extraordinarily powerful. Asking rather than telling and getting the person to come to their own conclusions. Yes, because people believe things when it comes out of their own mouth. I've been using this more recently as a course facilitator. Has changed buy-in, contribution, vulnerability. 100 million trillion% it will. 100 million trillion%. It is completely different to have a conversation to get engagement, right? Now, listen, I love the BDS gives us the opportunity to do these webinars, and I love connecting with you all and sharing the work that we do and what might make a difference in your company, etc. What I love is like working together in person, right? I love being in Kenya playing with Jenga blocks, talking about the bigger picture of what we're doing here, right? That particular thing was for, we were looking at different models of adult employment, and we took out what we think we have to do and created something totally new. And now we're going in October to train, to work with the company, to work with the company to build with them their adult employment program. So yes, 100%. Coaching, listening rather than telling, asking rather than telling. But the thing to get is that you have to literally come from a place of curiosity, not from a place of, oh my God, they're totally wrong. And now I have to be like, why do you think that's true? Right? So, and then the other piece too is making sure that, what's the other piece? Think. Sorry guys, I had COVID a month ago. My brain, I don't think it's fully recovered. Listening rather than, I don't know. I will probably remember it before we're done. Okay. Yes, that helps. I think a lot of times it's regarding issues of BCBAC and go to her as an issue, but doesn't get solved because to her, if it was an issue, they're not the ones coming to her. RBTs don't get much time. Yeah, so you might also think about talking with her about creating some kind of container so we can get all the RBT feedback at once. Because what's happening right now is, yeah, you're bringing her the issues and she's going, couldn't be that bad, they don't come to me about it, right? So I'll definitely be approaching with curiosity, good, trying to ask questions that may lead her to realizing their perspective and the barriers to her open door policy and shift to office hours. Yes, it's so great to shift to office hours. All right, is anybody feeling curious? And you can type in the word skill. Is anyone feeling curious about this Skill Corps program that I keep mentioning? The place where we've had people with personal or professional experience travel with us. Where's my slides? You can type in the word skill if you're like, that sounds kind of cool. All right, some people type in skill. Okay, first of all, let me see if I've forgotten anything. Okay. I want to just, before we do that, I want to wrap up. Okay. This does not have to be hard. Burnout is not inevitable. Given you several tools over the last 2.5 hours to shift from trying to get buy-in to getting ownership. And when we get ownership, we know buy-in is not inevitable. Burnout is not inevitable. Trying to get buy-in day after day leads to burnout, leads to overwhelm, leads to overload, okay? So you can create a work environment that really works, like really truly works, and you can do with, not for, to really make an impact. So here we go. This is our international travel program. I'm going to use the last few minutes to talk about this. As I said, we have run this organization for 20 years. We have worked together We've run our Skill Core program for the last 12 minus COVID break years. And we are running it again for the first time in a very long time. Applications are open for March of 2024. The trip dates are March 13th through 23rd, and you can use the code BDS apply to save 50% on your application fee. The short version of how this works is the webinar that you saw today. We take these concepts, we dive deeper, and you have a training before you go out in March that really dives deeper, gives you assignments. You know, those of you asking like, how do I have this conversation or what do I have? This doesn't have to be a one-off thing. We can build a relationship where we can continue to coach you and train you and develop you to be able to make that impact in your business, in your life, in your world, right? So we do all this training leading up to it. You go out, you go in country, all kinds of different initiatives happening in all kinds of different countries around the world. We have some adult employment initiatives. We have some autistic self-advocate initiatives. We have some legislative initiatives. We have some university initiatives. We have some clinic-based initiatives. There's all kinds of things happening in the world. So you join a team around the world, and you, what was I gonna say? You join a team around the world, and you do this project. When you get back, it's not over, guys. This isn't just a 10-day trip. This is a movement for change. So when you get back, you're part of the Skill Core network. You've had this incredible experience, and now we support you in implementing a project within your own country, within your own community, within your own organization. How many of you feel like, I think I asked at the beginning, how many of you feel like you have something that either before this presentation and certainly after, you would like to see fundamentally shift or change about this field, about your company or about this field or about the way that we work with the autistic community or about the opportunities that are available? Yeah, yes, right? That's why we've created this program in the way that we've created it, because those of you who typed in Changemaker earlier, that's right, I did ask you when you typed in Changemaker. Those of you who typed in Changemaker earlier, I want you to get that you can be that change. Literally, as Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. I want you to get that in 2003, I was 23 years old, living in Ghana, when people started coming to my house looking for the lady who knew what autism was. And from that moment, and from that initial inquiry, the Global Autism Project was born. And here we are, okay? We've had over 1,000 alums. We've worked with over, I don't know, 20-something countries at this point. So if you go to, why isn't the, give me a moment. Oh, okay. You go to, no, that's what I'm looking for, sorry. I'm trying, this slide usually has a URL on it. I'm gonna type the URL here in the chat. Entire audience, here we go. And before we go, I just want you to type in right now. First of all, that's a link. So make sure you go to that link and save 50% on your application fee with the code BDS apply. We'll send a follow-up email as well that has that code in it. But go ahead and type in the one word that sums up what you, like your aha moment from today. Not just like the word burnout, and maybe it's a sentence. Sorry, go ahead and type in your sentence. What's your takeaway? What's your aha moment from today? I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. There we go. That's me. There we go. Your aha moment. I love it. Be curious. Don't step over it. Shared ownership with the whole team. Ownership, co-creating. Others need to hear things from their own mouth. I like the Venn diagram. Feedback. Sandwich leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Yes, and yes, right? Purpose creates sustainability. The ASAP acronym. Ownership and co-creation. Ownership. Yeah, you're just your aha. I have a couple more minutes, and I actually have, I think, I'm going to see if I have it for real. I think I have a link. Okay, what else? Aligning priorities for sustainability, practicing active curiosity. Guys, everything will shift. Your life will be so much easier. Promise you, it does not have to be hard. Being in this field does not have to be hard. Burnout is not inevitable, okay? Anyone still like, I don't think so, Molly. Burnout seems pretty inevitable to me. It's just gonna happen. I also have, let me just hit, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but I'll show you. If you want to see it, and just type yes in the chat. I have a little short video that is not available for the general public, but y'all aren't the general public, we're friends here. Go ahead and type yes in the chat if you'd like to see just a little video I have talking about, it's our new skill core video. Let's see, questions. Just type yes in the chat if you want to see it, and I will pull it up if y'all want to see it. Okay. Let me see if I can share my screen again. Let me see if it will share the right screen. Oh, it does that. Now is it sharing? No. Lost everything. Okay. And you'll have to type in the word, if you can hear it, just type in the word here. Okay, let me see. Go to my questions. I haven't played anything yet, so you can't hear anything. Okay. Skill Corps is our international volunteer training program. We work to build local capacity to increase inclusive communities with the autistic population globally, whether that's workplaces, schools, or any other community setting, anywhere and everywhere in the world. The requirement of Skill Corps is that you have personal or professional experience with autism, including, of course, lived experience, whether that's as an autistic self-advocate or family member. Our model is predicated on the idea that there can be inclusive settings anywhere in the world and that local communities know best.
Being part of Skill Corps and Global Autism Project has truly transformed my perspective, giving me a sense that even though I'm different, I'm very valuable to people. The fact that everybody cares so much is life affirming.
I think Skill Corps makes you be really, really honest with yourself. You are so out of your comfort zone, and you're going on a trip not for a vacation. You know, you're going on a trip to work.
When you really believe in what is happening and the way that the organization works, it's hard not to come back.
It's only through this galvanizing of people all over the world coming together towards this common vision that we're going to change the world for people with autism. This is what we dreamed of. This is what we wanted to create, a global community of advocates, professionals, and families who truly understand the importance of doing with and not for the autistic community. All right, I wasn't planning to share that, but here we are. All right, go ahead and type in the word apply if you're interested in details on how to apply. Somebody asked if this is required for CEUs. I don't know if you're talking about the trip or what, but let me tell you, you do get CEUs on these trips. You get ethics CEUs, and we've been working to try to get SLP and OT CEUs as well. So yeah, so guys, listen, like all of this stuff that we talked about today, it works so incredibly well to learn it when you're in the program and you're able to, you know, you're in the program and you're able to have that support and learning. So I want to take a moment. Thank you all so much for being here. It's great to be with you. As I said, we'll be sending a follow-up email, and so we'll get that out to you all via BDS, and then usually we're able to email you directly as well. Someone said I shared something earlier, but you didn't get it. I'm not sure what that is. Listen, thank you all for being here. I so appreciate you. I appreciate your time, all of your time. Those of you who've been here from the beginning to the end. Visit globalautismproject.org. The link is in the chat. /apply if you're interested. And again, you can use that code, that BDS apply. I think that's what it was. I think it was BDS apply to save on your, save 50% off your application fee. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your time. I deeply appreciate you. It's been wonderful to be with you. I hope you learned something useful. And yeah, thank you for all you do. Take care, everyone.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Molly. And oh, she's gone. All right, thank you everybody so much for attending today. And oh, thank you, Molly, so much. And I wanted to let everybody know if you didn't have a chance to purchase your CEUs as of yet, that's okay. Go ahead, you have all weekend. But if you want like instant access to your certificate when I send those instructions on Monday, then make sure that you purchase beforehand. But otherwise, we will be, you will get a certificate of completion a couple of hours after we end here today. But send us an email to support if you have any questions, and have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Marissa.